some of you may know, we recently had Hurricane Helene come through here and it flooded quite a bit and quite a few vehicles. This right here was one of those, a Dodge Dakota, but not any Dodge Dakota, Dodge Dakota 4x4 convertible. You can kind of see the water line there, so it's not super high. I know there's quite a bit of mud in the interior. Hopefully this thing's savable, but in today's video, we're gonna find out. You're really liking this one, aren't you?
I do. I like it.
It's a cool truck. I don't know about the roll pan. Check that out. Original bumper, box full of paperwork, and a bunch of other parts. Oh, this thing's leaking. We need to get it out to dry. And the fact that this thing has the windows down, I definitely think it was in a garage. One thing I'm liking seeing is it wasn't clean or pampered up like sometimes Copart vehicles end up being. And if you notice, we can see right here, it comes up right here. So see that water line? Super noticeable on this other side. See where all the mud got packed all up in there, bunch of tree limbs and debris. And see that water line? So just barely in the interior. And then where the exhaust was full of water. I think the big telltale though, let's get all the wrap off so we can look at the interior. Let's get the hood popped and see what it looks like under there. Find out if everything is full of water like the engine. This looks like a pretty fresh paint job, so I'm gonna be real careful. This was a Haggerty insured truck. One nice thing about Copart, you can look and see most of the time what the insurance company paid out. It looks like they paid out about $20,000 on this one. No joke, this is probably the nicest vehicle we have ever bought. And we won it for $1,900. $20,000 is of course just agreed value. These nice 7, 8, 9, 10. This one looks pretty nice and I'm hoping we did okay on it. It's a lot newer than what we normally mess with. Kind of excited. It might be nice to have something to drive around that's new and comfortable. I don't know that a convertible Dakota is very comfortable, but we'll find out. I'm coming off the oh yeah, it got a little muddy. That's not horrible though. Most of the cars that you see from the Helene flood, you can see the water line in the gauge cluster. This one's clearly right here just in the floorboard. That's why we got the bio up there, but it's not super moldy or anything. We've got a little bit of mold starting on the roll bar. This thing is so cool. More than likely, electronics are toast. That's why those windows are left down. Look how nice the seats are. 97,000 original miles. Here's what I'm excited to see. This thing is so clean. Wow. Look at that engine bay. Just a good, honest old runner. Some funky looking valve cover gaskets. They're definitely leaking. It doesn't look like we had any mud or water up in here. I mean, you would see stuff collected. What's nice is there's our computer, our PCM, way up high. Here's the big one. Not a drop of water. Whew, what a relief. When you pay that much for a vehicle, maybe that's not a lot to some of you, but we're budget builds. Most of our cars are $500, $600, $700, $800 vehicles. That was getting there. We're automatic, transmission fluid, no moisture, super clean too. Not very tasty. Look here too, while we're in this area, a little bit of corrosion, but that's not from moisture, that's just from age. It doesn't look like we got any water in there. Check this air box. I think we might have done okay on this one. That's so clean. Throttle body fuel injection. No way there was any water in that. There's some stink bugs. God, I hate those things. I am feeling so good. I think the big thing though is definitely gonna be as much water pressure as there was, or as much water flow and strength there was. Those differentials and stuff are probably full of water, and that gas tank may very well be too. Oh, the water was up to the starter. Yeah, you can see water all the way up here. See all the stuff packed in everything? That's crazy. It was flowing strong. Good, clean coolant. Older radiator. Definitely gonna get rid of that cap. Those are awful. Oh, there's absolutely no condensation. I think we're clean there. See, the problem is we don't know the flow. It could have pushed moisture up the exhaust. I think we need to pull these spark plugs really quick. Let's just make sure there is nothing down in the cylinders. The oil's clean, the transmission fluid is clean. We want to check, make sure there's nothing in the combustion chambers. If there is, hopefully we can soak things down and clear it up. Not gonna lie, it's kind of nice messing with something that's not burnt or old, been sitting for many years. This is kind of a little treat for us. What do you think, Dad? Rear cylinder. Oh, perfect. No signs of moisture. And this is a 3.9 liter V6. And this was the hot rod over the 4-cylinder. This makes a about 125 horsepower. Next one. Amazing. Good signs. Would not be opposed to new spark plugs and a good service. This thing has it's dry for the most part, but it definitely needs valve cover gaskets. Beautiful. You ready? Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Super nice burn too. Sweet. That is 5 down, 1 to go. Wow. You don't get much better than that. I got the Borescope here. Let's take a look. Just for the heck of it. Oh, not a bit of moisture. Look at how nice that is. This one's high, so we can't see a lot. And this one's also up here, but no rust. A little bit of carbon buildup. I want to see a cylinder wall. Oh, we've got just the slightest amount of, there's some cross hatching, so it's still not super worn. But I mean, look at that, just the very lightest amount of rust, just surface rust, the tiniest bit. Let me go down. So that's a good thing we did this. We can throw some lubricant down in here. Wow, look how nice the valve is, the top side there. Beautiful. I am not concerned one bit with that little bit of surface rust. That is from the water going up the exhaust. It did not go into the engine, but sitting, and as it evaporated, that had to have been an open exhaust valve. Well, we saw it. We saw the open exhaust valve there, and sure enough, we got a little bit of moisture. This is another open exhaust valve. See that little bit of surface rust? See it? Good cross hatch, just little tiny bit of surface rust. We'll soak it down, we'll let it soak for just a little bit here. Let's get a bolt on that crank snout and turn it over by hand, just in case it is stuck a little bit. We don't want to go cranking it over with the starter and ripping off some ring glands or something. .8 volts. Man, that is dead as a hammer. 22, so not old. Hopefully we don't have something major shorted, but it looks like it was probably sitting in the garage for a while, and hopefully that's why this thing just died. We'll let's check to see if this thing turns over, and we'll throw a fresh battery in it. Moment of truth. Not even stuck one bit. little nervous here. If we got a big spark, we know we have nothing. That's good. We know we have a major short. It does not appear that way though. You ready?
Might as well.
Sounds like an 80s Dodge fuel pump kick on. Let's throw some plugs back in this thing. It might fire up. So what do you think? Do we just try to crank it? Do the windows work? It's been a long day. Holy moly. No problem. Why does it sound like that? Maybe it's got water in the fuel. Do it again. I think that fuel pump's about dead. All right, hold on. Absolutely no water, so that's good. You would see it start to separate in there. There's definitely something wrong with that fuel pump. There it goes, there it goes. No problem! Dude! It's got some leaky exhaust.
Yeah.
Gauge reads low. Sounds good! I'm thinking we're gonna call this one a win. That's pretty cool. You know I have to. That's awesome! I'm in a Dodge Dakota with no roof. I want you to do the honors. Bag it down. Come on. This is the midlife crisis shop truck. That's pretty cool. Well, it goes into gear. Oh, do you have brakes? Okay. Turn to the left just a little bit. How cool is that? I'd love to jump in it and just drive it. But we've got to check those differentials and everything and make sure they're not slap full of water, because we might be able to save them at this point, but we'd ruin them if we tried to drive it. Three-quarters of a tank of gas. We're charging good. Temp is super nice. That gauge comes up and down. It's just a little sticky. This thing definitely has done a lot of sitting with only 97,000 miles, and you can tell by those dry rotted tires with pretty good tread still. We need to do some major service work to this thing. Oh my goodness. Literally brand new. Of course, water will settle. So we'll take this thing and drive it around the yard a little bit. If we churn it up and it starts getting milky, we know we have water in there, but I see no point in even replacing that, as nice as it is. Just perfect. Diffs are clean. Transmission fluid still look good, Dad?
Oh yeah, real clean.
I think we try to drive this thing. I know, kind of unusual, not having to do a bunch of stuff before we get to attempt to drive it, but. So I decided yesterday what this truck is. It's the reverse mullet. It is business in the back and party in the front. Oh God, we got you. That thing's got to go. Tires are low. It drives like a 90s, 80s, 90s Dodge. There's no doubt.
I like it.
New shop truck, specifically Dad's shop truck.
It brakes.
It stops nice. Something's whining. Transfer case. There's no way there's stuff in that. That's a unique feeling. It's like a, what a cool truck. Maybe something's rubbing. Oh, there it goes. Wow. No, that's really nice. That is not our issue. The chain is just a little worn in there. Transfer case fluid looks perfect though. It looks like we've got a really good runner and driver here. Thank goodness, after being in the flood like that, we've got to get this thing cleaned up. We've got to get it fully serviced. We've got some wheels and tires we're going to put on it. And that's because in just a few days, we're fixing to take an over 500-mile trip in this thing. And that'll be our first true test drive. We're gonna start with servicing the oil and the fluids, and our fuel pump is leaking back. You may have noticed that first crank up. When this thing sits for a little while, all the fuel leaks back. The fuel pump's just leaking back. We'll check our fuel filter and our pressure regulator because we're going down to Myrtle Beach for Run to the Sun trip. We've been trying to make that a yearly thing, and I think this will be kind of a neat vehicle to take down there and actually get to drive down there. I hope you're excited to come along with us as we get this thing serviced, dolled up, and down to the beach. See if this thing's leaked back. Sitting here for a few days. That's not bad. It's actually getting better, but I don't want to take a trip like that knowing the fuel pump's iffy. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Do you see where this drain plug comes out? What were they thinking? Some old thin oil. It's gonna make a mess. What the? That's wonderful. No water at the bottom. That's good.
Yeah, the other side.
One thing I noticed as we pulled this filter is everything was a little glittery. I'm hoping that was just from sand washing down with the oil, but just to be safe, I'm going to open our filter up and see what the cartridge looks like. Whew. That is an old filter. But there's absolutely nothing in it. Okay, that makes me feel better, but dang, that thing needs to be replaced. Look how sopped up it is. It kind of makes me want to do a couple oil changes in a row. did notice some noise and I pulled all the belts off. This thing has 97,000 miles and it's never been dug into. Fire it up for me real quick, please, Dad. I don't know if you heard that. All right, cut it off. This thing needs some time and chain work. We have no material or anything in the filter. I think we're okay. I kind of want to just slap a V8 in this thing, but with 97,000 miles, it's worth servicing and taking care of this the way that it should be. This is going to go everywhere. This idler is super bad. It will get replaced while we're in here. This is a straight through bolt for the bracket. What in the world? I am finding that we are half metric, half standard. Don't you love the 80s? No rubbish. Oh, that front main is cooked. It's hard as a rock. Look at the cracks in it. I'll see why it wouldn't make quite a bit of noise. And then it gets quiet on acceleration, so just at idle, that thing's flopping. It could have even rubbed on this little thing. All the way up at TDC on our compression stroke on our #1 cylinder, and here is our timing marks lined up just like they should be, except check this out. Do you see that amount of play? Your timing could be that far off. Let's get these gears pulled off, chain pulled off, get the new ones on. Look at the play just in that sprocket. This one too. Everything had, maybe that's why when you buy it, they advise getting the whole set, because wow, stuff's sloppy. Oh my gosh. Look at that. Wow. So that is why they send you a whole kit with all the gears, because not only does the chain get extremely sloppy, but those do too. Lines up perfect. We get on the compression stroke, get on there, guys. Budging. I'm going to cut a slit in it just down enough without touching the aluminum, and then we can pry it out and hopefully the new one will go back in there. You want to slide your pulley on before you tighten your bolts down so everything's aligned properly. Don't forget to put a little bit of RTV right here in the keyway slot. You could tell they didn't do that previously, and it actually, for some reason on these, allows oil to leak past. That's why we had oil up here. And with all of your timing cover bolts, don't forget that these were all drilled through into the water jackets. Make sure you use some Type 2 gasket sealant. This is non-hardening, and you put these on your threads of your bolts before you run them in. That'll keep everything from leaking. We still need to get the radiator and a few hoses in, but I've got to know, did that take care of our noise? Absolutely nothing. Quiet as a mouse. Well, let's see if we did this right and if it shleaks or not. Oh, yep, it's leaking already. Just got to get it in the hole. Sometimes I miss. Good time before it gets warm. Put some new plugs in. We're going to put some platinums in here. Go a little fancy. Make sure we got a 35 thousandths, and we don't. Yeah, we do. 35 thousandths plug gap. No leaking, and sounds so much better. Now before we can go, we need to take care of this interior. For one, I think we're just gonna pull off some of this stuff. Not a huge fan of it. The steering wheel is in really, really rough shape. It had that wrap on it that kind of just fell off. And both Dad and I agree, it reminds us of his dad's, my grandpa's Caravan. And sure enough, I took a video the other day while we were over there. It's the exact same steering wheel. So I've got one that's gonna replace it. I think it'll look a little bit better. It's a little shallower too. This one's kind of tight. And then we need to pull the seat, pull some trim, pull the carpet. Not only do we want to clean it up, but we want to inspect for any damage from the flood waters coming up in the truck here. Oh, that's cool. It's actually really good shape. Red, 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 red. And they're all different colors of red. Talk about the 80s, but I kind of dig it. Well, there's a fun thing about driving a convertible. If you don't move your seat, look at all the leaves and stuff. What's funny, it's probably the fact that this thing's a pickup truck. All that stuff swirls around in the back, comes right on back in here.
Yeah, that's nice. We're gonna have to drill that one out. I was gonna say be careful because that's probably unobtainium, but out of all the cars we have, I think we could probably get parts for a Dodge Dakota.
Needs a little bit of treating, but it's a solid old floor. I don't think you could ask for much better for a convertible. What do you think?
Not bad.
Right here you can see delamination and the paint's come up and there's surface rust, but it is just solid as can be. A couple little spots from underneath. I mean, it's beautiful. And quite honestly, that could have just been since it was at the auction, knowing the windows were half down. We do want to wire brush and treat it because there'd be no point in covering it right back up and leaving it like that. We want to make sure it stays just like this for many, many years to come. Everything treated up nicely, and we'll coat most of the floor with this Silas sound deadening. This is just inexpensive Amazon stuff. We put it on just about everything. Quite honestly, it makes a massive, massive difference. And in something like this, a luxurious convertible sports car, we want to be sure it's comfy on the inside. Once you've got it rolled on, it's down for good.
super nice. That should make a huge amount of difference in this thing. That's probably only about $35 worth of that material. This OEM sound deadening, unfortunately, is saturated. Not only from the flood, but this thing is a convertible, and inevitably, it's gonna get moisture in it at times. And I think the best bet is to put some aftermarket sound deadening in the floor and peel all of this stuff out of here. This would never dry out, and this is why the floor did get the rust spots in it that it did. And that'll allow it to get some moisture in it at times, because it's just going to happen, but then dry back out nice and quick. Knocking out some of our interior cleaning while the carpet is drying up gives us something to do. This thing is such a time capsule. Taking carpet out, put it right back in. It goes right into place.
Run, Forrest!
We did actually consider having this one rewrapped, but even rewrapped, it still looks like a minivan steering wheel. So I found one that I think is going to look really good in here. Horn ring out, and of course we'll keep all this stuff with the truck. So it is original. It could always be put back to original. Out with the old. Yeah, I knew it was gonna do that. One last bit for the interior. We need to pull this door panel. Not only did it fill up with mud, the speakers are maybe the originals. You can just barely hear the radio on this thing. That's my good speaker. Holy moly. It's a lot of driving with nothing on. That's the original speaker. Oh my gosh, there's nothing left of it. Let me get all this mud, mud cleaned out of here. Get in the hole! Time to talk to you. From my wife. I'm sorry, honey.
Okay.
It's a scam. Of course, we're budget builds. We didn't buy the most expensive wheels. These are actually super reasonable, and I'd seen them on some pretty decent builds. These are Vision wheels we bought off of eBay. We decided to go a size bigger. I was thinking 17s, and it would have just been a tough time to get tires and stuff. So this is actually a 16 by 8. Oh yeah. I think that is going to look super cool on there.
What'd you get?
I got some goodies. There ain't nothing wrong with that tire. I have never seen so much dry rot. And I think the cord's breaking. No wonder this thing rides like a horse and buggy. That's good. And it might be a little tacky, but the center cap happened to be the perfect size for our Budget Builds sticker. And of course, you can find all of this on our other merchandise at budgetbuildsyt.com. You can probably tell we did get in there and crank those torsion bars up just a bit. Still actually a good bit more room to lift it up. But that was just to make everything nice and level and even, and our tires now turn without rubbing on either side. One thing I'm noticing, those side steps have to go. You can't even step on them anyways. They make no sense, and I'm not a big fan of them. So we're gonna pull them off of there. Those are some good welds. There's no way I ground the bottom, the top just popped right off without having to touch it. No penetration. While we've got these rear wheels off, first time I tried to hit the emergency brake, the cable just snapped. And now we have analog and a brake light on the dash, and these rear brakes don't feel like they're doing much anyways. Drums are nice. That is super crusty. Oh my goodness. Let's go ahead and rebuild these. That is one thing, especially on such a trip. We don't want to take a chance with brakes. This is our safety. We want these things working as good as possible. This side's better, but not much better. The thing we're looking at here on such a drive, and if these worked, which like I said, I don't think they're actually working, these are just glued on pads, which is more than likely what we'll end up with again. But over time, the glue actually deteriorates. And I've had these in the past going down the interstate, come loose, tuck underneath the other shoe, and lock your brakes up. And that's pretty sketchy at speed. So we don't want to be doing that.
That wheel cylinder is super crusty. I bet it's just locked up. They're cheap enough. These are about $12 a piece. We might as well just do them. Oh wow. Oh yeah, leaking brake fluid. Look at that. Rusty mess.
Sure we get in here and grease all of our ride points. This is not only going to help us with wear, but this will help keep your brakes from squeaking. One thing to always keep in mind when you're going back together with your shoes is you have two different links. Try to remember BB or big back. That larger one there goes in the rear. It's especially easy to notice when you have things like this that are rear specific. But if you're doing front drums, the same applies. going back on with the drum. We'll adjust out until the shoes just barely scuff the drum. And then a few times backing up, the self-adjuster will take care of the rest. And you'll probably notice we did decide to do away with the Brimbos in the back here by changing these drums to black. Oh, gross. But we're about to degrease and clean this engine bay really well anyways. Pump it up, please, Dad. Ooh. And again, please. Very nice, little to no bubbles. I like it, pump it up. And let off. And hit the brake, please. Sweet. I like to hear the pedal going down, and we've got some nice clean fluid coming through now. And hit the brake. Nice. We were looking, and sure enough, these were done on a big list of things that were done on this back in 2019. In fact, a $1,600 invoice, and on the invoice it says, check over, because this thing hasn't been driven in 7 years. It doesn't look like it ever got drove after that, in fact. And that's probably why the miles are as low as they are. But whatever shop did this, put a ton of goop, did not clean the surface, and used cork gaskets. It's a couple extra dollars to just get in there and use man, look at all the goop. They got goop everywhere. They just went ahead and gooped the tape in it too. That is oil passageway blocking asking to happen. The few extra dollars for one of these rubber gaskets, I feel like it's definitely worth the trouble. Just a little light smear of black RTV. Oh my gosh, this was pouring. That's why this thing smells like oil so bad. Holy moly. I did notice this little EGR guy is leaking everywhere. And while we've got good access to it with this valve cover off, we should put this new gasket in here. It was only a couple dollars. And if it'll keep that mess from the top of the engine, that'll be good. This thing is smoother, quieter, and happier than ever so far. Let's see about getting this tank dropped. We first have to drop this skid plate. And man, this thing has to be done. All you smell is gas under here. It is, it's not pouring out, but it's definitely very fumey. Just looking at the fuel lines, especially up under the front, they all need to be done for the most part. And we don't want this thing burning down on the way there. I'd hate for it to, you know, end up totaled with a salvage title or anything. Got a little handle. Wow, it looks nice. Holy moly. How is that fuel pump even working? Very good. You all right? Yep. Before we started it, we kicked the fuel pump a couple times, and I think we've got better pressure now. Our leak is more apparent. So this is the fuel smell we smelled, and it's leaking down. It's one of these hard lines up here. I'm glad that became apparent before we took off down the road. Yep, right there. It needed all those lines, and that fuel pump looked pretty pitiful anyways, so I'm glad we did it. Okay, I got a floor on the thingy. We are totally leak free. Okay, I'm jerk. It should fire up much better than it has since we've gotten it. One other thing, I did check all our fluids again underneath our differentials and everything. Made sure that no moisture had churned up because obviously we had checked it after everything had settled. Everything looks super good and super clean, so I don't think there's anything we need to do there. It's not too bad. We're not going trailing or anything. We're gonna run no skid plates until we get back, just in case there's anything that needs to happen there before we pull out. Clean up our few spots here. We're ready to hit the road in the morning. We'll pull it, once we get down to Myrtle Beach, we'll pull into a car wash and wash this thing off.
Let me get my tweezers, okay? Look, wave to Daddy's camera. Wave to Daddy's camera.
We're loaded up and ready to hit the road. Running smooth as can be. Got my youngest in the middle and my wife Kayla. Let's see how this drive goes. Oil pressure is great, charging good, temp is getting there. There's a whole lot too many people on the road. That just got out anyway. All right. Smooth acceleration. So much better with new tires on it. Still slow as molasses. It didn't get any faster. It could probably use a V8, but with under 100,000 original miles and as nice and original as this one is, what do you think, baby?
I think it's good.
Good. No unusual driving characteristics with this thing lifted back up. The alignment's actually still really good. We need to reset this steering wheel a little bit, but otherwise, this thing drives phenomenal. Temp is holding steady. We put a little bit lower thermostat in it for these summer months. And no brake or analog lights after taking care of those rear brakes, which definitely makes us feel a bit better loaded up in this thing. 300 flawless miles, and we have made it to beautiful Myrtle Beach State Park. We come down here every year. It's a awesome time. Tomorrow, the next day, and the day after that, we'll be going to Run to the Sun car show. It's a ton of fun. What was also a ton of fun was driving this thing down. We haven't done a ton of big road trips, just with rescues and stuff, and it was really nice to get behind the wheel, drive, and enjoy one of these rescues. And man, this thing was a blast to drive. It's kind of nice having cruise control for once. We got it down here to the beach and we cleaned this thing up. That first wash, what a sharp old rig. Let's enjoy these next few days and then we'll make that 300-mile trek back home. We have made it back, clocking about 600 miles with stops, around 10 hours of driving. And this little Dodge Dakota did phenomenal. Absolutely no issues other than a windshield wiper bushing popping off. Thankfully, we had some Windex to put on there. We had such a good time making that drive, making memories. This thing is such a time capsule, not only on the exterior, the one little dent there, our PDR guy taking care of on the rear quarter, but that interior, with the exception of some factory floor mats, it looks almost like the day it rolled off of the showroom floor. But to just dial in a few more things and enjoy this, I think it'll make such a fun little run around shop truck and be quite interesting, weird and quirky and a blast. And this, of course, is one of the newest things we've ever messed with. I hope you all enjoyed, and if you did, let us know down below if you want to see more modern-ish cars rescued. But we really, really hope you all did enjoy. We really enjoyed making those awesome memories with our family, and we get to do it because of each and every one of you. So thank you all so much. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe button, notification bell to keep up with our future uploads and rescues. But that's gonna wrap it up. Peace out and catch you all on the flip side.